They always told us we had nothing. For decades, the world dismissed Burkina Faso as poor, barren, and hopeless. But today, I say this: our land was never poor. The truth was only hidden from us. It is early 2025. In the dusty streets of Ouagadougou, a rumor explodes like wildfire. The whispers are impossible to ignore. Russia's energy giant Gazprom has allegedly discovered 50 billion barrels of oil beneath Burkina Faso's soil. For a country long mocked as resource-starved, the number is staggering. 50 billion barrels, wealth that rivals Libya, overshadows Angola, and even challenges Nigeria. This isn't just oil, it's transformation. A miracle buried beneath the ground, now suddenly unearthed. Within hours, social media ignites. WhatsApp groups overflow with images of pipelines and oil rigs. Facebook users compare Burkina Faso's rumored reserves to the Middle East giants. Young people proclaim a new dawn, an Africa no longer chained by foreign aid, but powered by its own oil. Taxi drivers debate how cheap fuel might become. Students argue over whether the state should nationalize the reserves immediately. In rural villages, elders kneel to pray for blessings, but also warn of the oil curse, pointing to Nigeria's Niger Delta or Libya's endless wars. The rumor doesn't feel like gossip, it feels like destiny. But a darker question quickly rises. If this wealth truly exists, why were Burkina Faso told for decades that they had nothing? Who buried a secret of this magnitude, and why? The answer lies in history. For decades, West Africa was never free to control its own resources. France held the keys, not just to the mines and banks, but even to the knowledge of what lay beneath African soil. Look at Niger, Burkina Faso's neighbor. For decades, French company Orano mined uranium from the desert town of Arlit. That uranium lit up Paris, but in Niger itself, people remained in darkness. In Mali, rivers of gold flowed out, enriching banks in London and Paris, while Malians stayed among the poorest. In Guinea, foreign-linked surveys understated bauxite reserves, only for later studies to reveal some of the largest deposits in the world. In Chad, oil brought hope, but the IMF and World Bank ensured the profits went into debt repayment instead of schools and hospitals. This was no coincidence. It was strategy. Colonial and neo-colonial powers knew a simple truth. To control a nation, you don't just seize its resources, you control the information about those resources. Convince a people their land is barren, and they will accept dependency. They will negotiate from weakness, never from strength. So when Burkina Faso were told again and again, you have no oil, no gas, only dust and cotton, many suspected a lie. And when the rumor of massive oil reserves spread in 2025, it felt less like fantasy and more like confirmation. The key detail that made this rumor explode was one name: Gazprom. For decades, France monopolized West Africa's surveys and contracts. It was France that insisted Burkina Faso had nothing. But after Captain Ibrahim Traoré expelled French troops and tore up exploitative deals, another power suddenly entered the picture: Russia's Gazprom. And with it, whispers of buried wealth. People didn't see Gazprom as a savior. They saw it as a witness. The message was clear. France said we were empty, but once France left, the earth itself revealed the truth. On the streets, the narrative was powerful. France lied. Traoré liberated. Even if exaggerated, the symbolism was devastating for Paris. How could France control Burkina Faso for generations and never find this? Yet within months of their departure, rumors of massive reserves surfaced. For the people, the timing was no accident. It was vindication. At the center of this storm is Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young soldier who seized power and rewrote Burkina Faso's destiny. By expelling France, rejecting the CFA franc, and reclaiming sovereignty, he did more than politics. He broke a spell. For decades, Burkina Faso had been conditioned to believe poverty was natural and dependency inevitable. But Traoré refused. His message was simple: Burkina Faso will no longer be blindfolded in its own house. That's why the oil rumor struck so deeply. People believed that only after breaking free from France could the land reveal its true wealth. The rumor was never about geology, it was about sovereignty. France wanted Burkina Faso poor, Traore showed them rich. Even if not a single barrel exists, Traore has already given his people the most precious gift, belief in their own strength. Oil became a metaphor for all of Africa's buried wealth: uranium in Niger, gold in Mali, bauxite in Guinea, cobalt in Congo, all stolen, hidden, or misrepresented. Misrepresented. Oil was not just crude beneath the ground. It was the truth, long denied, finally rising to the surface. Still, the haunting question remains: how could such reserves be hidden for so long? The answer is information control. Geological data was kept in Paris, downgraded in reports, and locked away from local officials. History is filled with similar examples, from Zambia's copper to Guinea's bauxite and Congo's cobalt. So when Burkinabe heard the oil rumor, they didn't laugh. They nodded. If France could lie about uranium, gold, and bauxite, why not oil? And if the oil does exist, the consequences are monumental. Burkina Faso could join OPEC. Pipelines could crisscross the Sahel. The desert, once dismissed as barren, could become a global energy hub. But geopolitics cuts both ways. For France, this would be utter humiliation, proof that their decades of control hid Africa's wealth. For Russia, its influence gained. And for ordinary Africans, it sparks the most dangerous idea of all. If Burkina Faso was lied to, maybe we all were. That is the true revolution. Not barrels, not crude, but belief. For the first time, ordinary Burkinabe are asking, why were we told we had nothing? And once a people know their worth, they can never again be controlled. This is Traore's true victory. Even if no oil is ever drilled, he has unearthed something far greater: the realization that Africa's destiny will never again be dictated in Paris. The barrels may remain rumor, but the revolution they inspired is real. Oil can be stolen, oil can be wasted, but awareness, that is permanent. And once awakened, awareness fuels revolutions. So does Burkina Faso really sit on 50 billion barrels of oil? Maybe, maybe not, but the question alone has already changed history. For France, this is a catastrophe. For Burkina Faso, it is dignity reclaimed. And for Africa, it is the beginning of something unstoppable: the belief that their greatest wealth has never been beneath the ground, but within themselves.